to MINDSHOCK for another logical analysis here. This is part 3 of the Red Pill Showdown between Michael Knowles and Pearl Davis. This absolute train wreck. I mean, this one has been one of the toughest analyses to do. Michael Knowles making an utter fool of himself as Pearl decimates him point after point after point. I mean, this is really, really a tough one. Yeah, we'll see if we can finish this up in just one more part here in this third part. Hopefully it won't come to it that we'll have to do a fourth or fifth part. But this has been so painful in Michael Knowles' decimation and humiliation here. I mean, I've posited this might be some kind of humiliation ritual for Daily Wire pundits to forward themselves into fame and fortune. Obviously, Daily Wire quite popular. As always, if you find the MINDSHOCK podcast interesting, informative, entertaining, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, and this is one of the best evidences of that, this particular so-called debate here. You could also become a YouTube member, help support the channel that way. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcast, or requests. You can also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comments section. So we are going to pick up right where we left off last time.
But I'll see guys that take you guys' advice. And it sometimes, you know, it ruins their life.
What would men do if they begged you for advice?
And I'm not.
Or we might be having some technical difficulties. I was just about to give YouTube credit for being able to start the stream on time and everything going smoothly. But apparently, okay, we apparently are having some technical difficulties. It does not want to play. And let me try this again. I was just about to give YouTube some actual credit, because there have been technical difficulties for a while now, particularly shutting down any stream that wants to talk about NASA and the occult at the same time. Separately, apparently there's no issue. But talking about NASA and the occult, apparently that's an issue. That's a big no-no for some reason.
But I'll see guys that take you guys' advice. And it sometimes, you know, it ruins their life.
Okay, let's see if this is finally gonna work.
What would...
Okay, here we go. Okay, it looks like it's working now, so let's pick right up where we left off last time in part 2. Make sure you're caught up on part 1 and part 2. And we got Dave Scott in the house here. Are we ever really ready for Dunning-Kruger gifts? Is this truly Dunning-Kruger on the part of Michael Knowles? I don't know, maybe. I mean, this guy's just making a mockery of himself, basically using woke goof arguments. Dave Scott says Pearl is a grifter. I mean, grifter or not, she's absolutely mopping the floor with Michael Knowles.
Divorce laws are informed by feminism.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And so
But marriage is
regardless,
marriage is a natural institution that predates the states that currently...
right, but there.
He keeps spamming this marriage is a natural institution, but as we went over in part 2, using even Catholic reference texts, nowhere does it say that. Nowhere does it say that. He can't back up any of his arguments. He's been bad faith this entire time, possibly more than anyone has ever been bad faith in any debate ever.
There's no way for you to get married in this country and have children and not be a part of the institution of marriage legally.
Yeah, you have to
Because
sign up
correct,
for the
correct,
marital.
correct.
Though you can mitigate risk even by
So
staying.
there's a whole business.
And he keeps going into the mitigation of risk. Like, you should still go to the casino. You should still play roulette. I mean, we can point to all these winners, all these big winners, these jackpot winners. Who cares about the people that lost their life savings and committed suicide? As long as there are some winners, everyone should still, he's still recommending going to the casino. He's still recommending it. And you can certainly mitigate risk by, playing certain strategies in the casino.
Of lawyers making money off of marriage, of feminist women's shelters making money off of marriage, and you're saying, sign up anyway. And I think I would disagree that it's feminist, because what you're saying is sign up for the institution that is run by feminists.
Well, I guess you're putting those words in my mouth, sign up anyway. What I am saying is men ought to do the right thing.
Which in his mind is getting married, which is exactly sign up anyway. How is that putting words in his mouth? I mean, this kind of deceptive goofery. I mean, he's worse than a lot of these anti-flat earth grifters, because a lot of them aren't necessarily bad faith. They're completely Dunning-Kruger goofs. They don't have the mental capacity to understand any of these points. So they might actually be arguing in good faith and just failing to understand anything, on the part of the anti-flat earth grifters. But Michael Knowles here, are we to believe he's this mentally deficient? Like he doesn't know what the definition of average man is. He doesn't know the definition of sexism. I mean, he doesn't know any of these basic definitions. Now he's accusing her of putting words in his mouth when he is literally saying that this is natural, that this should be done, like sign up anyway. Go to the casino. Go to the casino. While completely ignoring scripture himself.
That at the basis of,
and he just has he ever been stumbling over his words as much as he is here? I mean, he's sputtering and stuttering throughout this entire so-called debate interview.
Of the natural law is one precept, which is do good and avoid evil.
Mm-hmm.
By utilization of reason, the utilization of God-given reason, which, again, just to reiterate, if anybody is watching this who has not listened to part 1 or part 2. In part 2, I was literally quoting scripture and Bible passages like Proverbs 31:10, a good woman is hard to find and worth far more than diamonds. Whereas he's kind of hallucinating that there's parity. 50% woman, 50% men on average. So, a man shouldn't have any problem finding a good wife, even though Proverbs 31:10 explicitly states how rare that good woman is. And then, of course, there's Proverbs 21:19, better to live in the desert than with a contentious and ill-tempered wife. So he keeps, again, spamming natural law, natural this, natural that, God-given reason, when the Bible itself is explaining the utilization of said reason to be extremely cautious in marriage here and watching out for certain women, while he's saying that women prostituting themselves online is not a deal breaker. It is not a deal breaker, even though does anybody actually think that if Michael Knowles weren't currently married, he would go and get married or date an OnlyFans worker? Because that's what he's kind of pretending he would do throughout this entire interview. And just the level of goofery here is so off the charts. I mean, it's downright shocking. It is downright mind-shocking to see a supposed intellectual being thrashed like a red-headed stepchild by Pearl here, intellectually thrashed. I mean, just absolute decimation.
First thing that we apprehend is being, right? Is existence. The next thing that we apprehend, and this is the first thing we apprehend through our practical reason, which is oriented toward action.
I mean, all he's doing is spinning his wheels here. He's talking about reason and being oriented towards action and awareness of what it has nothing to do with anything. Like when Pearl was talking about, she was taught, because this is all red herring diversion fallacy and blatant straw man. I mean, this is just a web of diversion. Michael Knowles has woven a web here. Just this giant web of diversion fallacy. Within this fallacy, he's stacking other fallacies. And quite impressive in the stacks. I don't know if he's ever stacked this many fallacies in any other debate or media appearance ever. I mean, he's, again, I don't want to, he's not quite Craig level, but, I mean, this guy's stacking fallacies like crazy. And he's just spinning his wheels and doing, politician-style demagogue where he's not really talking about anything. My favorite quote so far is in part 2 when Pearl's talking about changing the laws. Why can't the laws be changed? And Michael's response was, because we live in time and space. That was my favorite goof moment from Michael. That might have been the dumbest thing he's ever said in his entire life. I mean, that's insane. That's one of the dumbest things I've heard anybody say on anything. Can you imagine answering a question that has nothing to do with time and space about the answer being because we live in time and space? I mean, just the level of goofery on display here. As I said in part 2, I don't see how he can come back from this. I mean, how can he come back from this interview?
Is good. When you do something, you want to do good and you want to avoid evil.
And what does that have to do with anything here? What does that have to do with family court? I mean, what? I mean, if anything, he's propping up her points, because if you're avoiding the evils and corruption and manipulations of the state, you're not going to engage with marriage as an institution that has any connection to the state, whether it be marriage licenses or whatever.
And so what I'm saying is that marriage and family, the end of marriage being the begetting and education of children, and secondarily, the mutual support of the spouses, is good for man. So I'm not saying this isn't Michael's crazy view.
And that has nothing to do with anything. I mean, that was a super dinger, Dave Scott, because we live in time. I mean, that is what I would expect someone like Craig to say. That was a super dinger. We can call it pulling a Craig. He pulled a Craig there. That was wild.
I'm saying this is a natural part. It's why this has existed throughout all of human society.
So he's intentionally conflating here men reproducing with a woman to state-licensed marriage and family court laws. I mean, the level of goof. Can you imagine the bad faith? I mean, he's just a flat-out liar. Because are we to believe that because I don't think he has a mental disability. Like with Craig, we can think, we can maybe, guess. I mean, it appears he has a severe mental disability. Does Michael Knowles have a mental disability? I don't think so. I mean, how could he cover that up? I mean, it's just insane. Craig humiliates himself every single time he opens his mouth on every single video on his channel and every single debate he's ever had on any other channel with any other person. So he's 24/7 either acting mentally disabled or actually being mentally disabled. With Michael Knowles, that's not the situation here. He's pretty high level in all these other appearances, yet here he is intentionally strawmanning and intentionally building false premises by hallucinating that men reproducing with women and having families that has nothing to do with the state is somehow magically the same exact thing as getting a marriage license today or post-feminism, past few decades. I mean, can you be any more of an intentional liar than that?
Everywhere, and it's why we are all inclined to do it, whether or not Pearl or Michael wants it.
Okay, so do you think?
Wait, what? We're all inclined to go get a marriage license? Is that why marriage rates are plummeting? I mean, what? I mean, is he even trying anymore? That's the thing. Even some of these anti-flat earth grifters, at least they're trying. They might not have any mental capacity to do it, but at least they're trying. He's not even trying. Did he just phone it in for this interview?
I think it's wrong if a man wants to build a business. And he
Depends what the business is.
He doesn't. Okay, but whatever. And instead of pursuing women, he pursues his business.
I
Instead
think
of
that
pursuing a marriage and a family.
I think it would be a mistake for a man to pursue material.
Justin Johnson on point here. 100% of divorces start with marriage. I mean, that's tough to argue. That is tough to argue, my friend. I don't know how to argue that one.
Good to the exclusion of better goods.
Okay, what about coaching? What about teaching? Like, why?
I think our jobs in the commercial economy are good things, but I think modern liberalism and individual anthropologies make an idol out of that, and that is to the harm of men. We shouldn't make an idol out of our jobs. I like my job a lot, but it's not my whole life.
And the other problem you get in.
Another diversion, red herring, and straw man fallacy, because everything that Pearl is saying is under the umbrella of these family court laws, the corruption of the state, subjugating both men and women, but specifically men in the area of divorces, and he just dodges all of that. I mean, he is such a coward. Like, he can't even have a good faith conversation. I mean, it's not just about, I mean, I don't want to even call him stupid. I mean, he's getting decimated here. He's humiliating himself. But I mean, this is mostly just cowardice. This is cowardice, lack of integrity and character. He's taking an anti-Bible stance here while pretending to take a pro-Bible stance. I mean, can you get any lower than that? I mean, we could actually effectively, he's a coward charlatan. That's what he is here.
Into is, again, just because a man has kids, it doesn't mean that the kids will, I mean, you have men raising kids that grow up to hate them. I mean, even in the story that I showed you.
It's bad, yeah, it's bad. Within marriage or divorce, you mean?
Both.
Yeah, both.
I've seen, kids get alienated from their fathers.
How?
That are, in the same household. It happens all the time.
How does it happen, though? I agree it happens.
Well, I mean, the man's working, and so the mom spends more time with the kids. The mom's talking all day in the kid's ear. It's a really sad thing.
So you're saying the mom hates the dad?
Yeah.
That seems to be a problem that predates the alienation.
No, it totally is.
It
totally is. And,
and the schools and the TV, and everyone says the men are dolts and idiots. Yeah, I agree. That's terrible.
Yeah, but that's my point is just because a man has kids, it doesn't mean his legacy will live on.
No, again, I don't think the kids are the chief end of man in the world, but I do think it is an important aspect of it and an expression of it. And you can raise kids who are likely not to hate you. There are things that you can do and things that you...
Man, this is like a master class in diversion fallacy. Because his diversions are most of them are red herrings because they're tangentially related, but not specific to her point, or flat out non sequiturs. I mean, he's probably been... rough estimate, maybe 80% red herrings, 75% red herrings, and 25% flat out non sequiturs, complete nonsense, unrelated. And I mean, this is really a master class in diversion fallacies.
Can avoid that will increase that likelihood.
I mean, that's true, but there's no guarantees, and I think
no guarantees of anything in this life.
And I think it's a higher risk.
Yeah, there's no guarantee you'll lose all your money at the casino. So let's go play. Everybody should just go full-time casino. Who needs a 9 to 5? As long as there are some winners and there are no guarantees of losing, according to Michael Knowles. I mean, I wonder if he would also apply that to playing Russian roulette. Like, what if you have like an extended cylinder with maybe 12 or even 20 chambers and there's only a bullet in one? I mean, look how many survivors there are. I mean, according to Michael Knowles, I mean, you can mitigate the risk. I mean, just don't load up enough chambers, but you should still play, right?
And I think I would really encourage you to spend a couple days in family court. I think it would really
yeah. I mean, I've had close friends who have been in brutal divorces. I mean, I've seen a little bit of it up close.
Wow. So is Michael Knowles just flat out evil? Is he an agent of Satan at this point? Because he's admitting here that he's had close friends or close friends, whatever he said, a number of friends or close friends that actually went through this. So that's like if you personally know people who've lost their entire life savings, maybe even committed suicide because of gambling, and you're still promoting gambling as natural good. Obviously, the parallel here is gambling and marriage because, just like gamblers, there's people who hit the jackpot and live a great life, just like there are people who are married and they live a great life. I mean, they took that gamble and they came out on top. Now, he personally is saying he personally knows people that did not come out on top. and suffered through it, yet he's still recommending it. He's still pretending it's all part of like natural order or whatever, even though it doesn't even mention that in the Catholic reference that we went over in part 2.
It's dreadful.
Yeah, and at times, you know, they didn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah,
Because-
well,
because
they've all
women-
done something.
If women,
And look at him laughing. They've all done something wrong. What was what they did wrong? They entered the casino and rolled the dice. That's what was wrong. Because if according to Knowles, if it's relatively 50-50 parity between men and women and marriageable women, even though he was too cowardly to even give his percentage of what percentage of women are marriageable, then he pretended to not know what marriageable was. You know, just the level of deceit here from Michael Knowles. Again, I'm not saying he has this level of deceit and flat out lying and lack of character and integrity in other appearances. I'm just only commenting on this one here. And so he's basically laughing here. I mean, look at this goof's face. Look at this snake's face. He's personally known men who have been dragged through family court with dreadful, according to his own words, it was dreadful. So I don't know if that means they lost most of their stuff, they can never see their own children. And he's laughing here. He's laughing about it. I mean, this guy's kind of revealing himself to be scum here. Look at his smiling, laughing, jovial face. This is not 3 seconds after mentioning how many friends or good friends he's had personally suffer. Dreadful was his word for it. And now he's laughing, pretending and hallucinating to know that all men that were dragged through the mud and lost most of their stuff and can never see their kids must have done something wrong. But according to him, whatever they did wrong, it couldn't have been choosing an unmarriageable woman, because most women have to be marriageable according to him. I mean, he didn't really say that, but he's not saying anything against that. So if most women are marriageable, so taking that plunge, if that's not what the man did wrong, what else did he do wrong? I mean, obviously we're excluding, you know, the abusers and the scumbags. But we're talking about the good men here that get also dragged through family court, false accusations, never see their kids, lose most of their stuff, have to start their life all over, of which Knowles admitted he had several friends or close friends that actually went through it. And look at his smiling snake face here, laughing about it, pretending they all had to have done something wrong. Like there are no innocent victims of family court, according to Michael Knowles. I mean, at this point, Pearl should have just walked out here. Like, why would you want to be in the company of someone doing the devil's work here? I mean, he's a snake-tongued charlatan. He's exposed himself fully in part 3 here.
women feel like leaving, they can leave. We can leave.
They can. But how does the marriage break down? You know, it's like Hemingway describes bankruptcy in The Sun Also Rises. Happens gradually and then suddenly. So it seems to me, I'm not letting women off the hook. Sometimes crazy, you know.
He's not? He's saying the men did something wrong. How is that? What? That's not... Wait, what? What? What is he talking about? I mean, how can anybody respect Michael Knowles after this interview? I mean, I don't. Again, I held him in pretty high regard. Like, I had him up there with Ben Shapiro. He's a sharp guy when it comes to, you know, schooling woke goofs on colleges, but he's behaving one like one now. And of those woke goofs, college students, some of them are not bad faith. I mean, a lot of them are, but some of them aren't. Some of them are just, you know, lacking in mental capacity or just sheer ignorance. Not all of them are bad faith, but he's being as bad faith as possible here.
Feminist ladies go nuts and divorce their husbands and poison, you know, the kids against their father, and they do all sorts of terrible things. But, you know, marriage is a union of two people. And I agree with you. A lot of people, when they get into marriage these days, including the men, especially the men, not only don't know what they're signing up for, they don't even really have a vision of what they're signing up for. They don't even know what they want to be signing up for.
Correct.
And so that's a mistake. That's an error on the part of the men often and of the women. But
Okay, so it is an error to enter a contract with the opposing party benefits from breaking it? Because he dodged that hard earlier in the interview. Sorry to hear that about the guys, the people in the chat that had to deal with family court. I mean, Yeah, you really don't need to watch a lot of Family Court. I mean, you could just, I mean, a couple minutes alone. I mean, it's very obvious what goes on. Like, you don't, I mean, I don't know if people have been living under a rock, but it is very obvious that, you know, there is no justice in family. And that goes both ways, too. Like, a lot of times, even when the man is the bad guy, he doesn't necessarily get punished for it, even in criminal court. I mean, there's a whole problem with a lot of the courts, right? So to hallucinate and pretend that it's all on the up and up, and it's definitely a worthwhile contract to get government involved in your marriages and in deciding for your children, I mean, that's blatantly against the Bible. And Michael Knowles here is supporting it. I mean, Michael Knowles is basically being Satan's salesman here.
The men are the head of the household, so more responsibility falls onto them. And then the way they lead their lives, I would say.
But do they get authority too?
Who do they give authority to?
No, do the men have authority in their own households?
In the good marriages, they do.
So now he's going again to the cherry picking. So he's using the 1% of the 1% to tell everybody to go to the casino and gamble, to tell everybody to jump out of the plane and, you know, with or without a parachute for mitigating risk. I mean, I actually, Shifty Eye Shady, I haven't seen Michael Knowles be wrong about a lot of anything other than this interview. I mean, everybody's got their blind spots. He certainly has one here, and he's digging such a hole here. Oh, man. Heracles, see, that's an interesting comment, because I don't know if it's Dunning-Kruger. I think he's just flat out lying. I don't think we can give Michael Knowles the Dunning-Kruger excuse. I don't think we can give him the mental disability excuse. This seems to be, again, I don't claim anything is true or untrue. This is MINDSHOCK, where the only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything for sure. But it seems to be he's just flat out lying. No character, no integrity. I mean, he's basically doing the devil's work here. I mean, he was flat out laughing about men that had to go through family court, lose everything, never see their kids. He even said he had friends or close personal friends who went through it. And this goof was literally laughing right after saying that. I mean, this is all a master class in diversion fallacy, of which he's using red herrings and non sequiturs. Mostly red herrings, but he uses non sequiturs as well. But yeah, this is just one giant master class in diversion fallacy and flat out lying. And just bad faith across the board.
Would you say that's the majority?
Well, I don't know. I mean, these days people say that two men can be married. So, you know, people are very confused about
Another diversion red herring fallacy. It's obvious she's talking about men and women, and now he's diverting in red herring and non-sequitur. I mean, this is technically a non-sequitur, because she's talking about men and women, and he's now diverting with non-sequiturs. I mean, this is the most humiliating display I've ever seen by any so-called intellectual. And he's kind of approaching Craig territory here.
what marriage is.
Correct.
Yeah. But in the real marriages and the flourishing marriages.
Oh, now he's going no true Scotsman. So all of these failed marriages, according to him, they're not real. So these real unicorn marriages is what he's promoting, but on the other hand, he can't even give an answer on what percentage of women are marriageable. I mean, this is the level of deceit we're dealing with Michael Knowles here.
Yeah, the men do have a headship.
What percent of marriages do you think are happy after 50 years?
Well, all I have to go by is the General Social Survey and some of the Chicago studies that come as a result of that. And the evidence is that, according to statistics and social
50%
science,
divorce.
Yeah, granted anywhere from 40 to 50% divorce.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, according to the GSS, which is probably the biggest data set we have on this, the happiest people are men and women married with children. Followed by men and women married without children. Well, I'll come to that.
Okay.
Followed by divorced parents without children.
And this also doesn't include the stats of those that killed themselves and couldn't participate in the survey, right? Or did Michael Knowles not account for that? Dave Scott, if I knew that he would be this level of goof, did you watch part 1, Dave Scott? I actually would have implemented the MINDSHOCK logical analysis system if I knew he was going to be stacking fallacies like this. Because they did have 10 seconds of normal conversation of good faith conversation. I think it was at the beginning of part 2. I thought this entire conversation would be like that. I really didn't anticipate this level of charlatan gophery, of flat out bad faith charlatan goofery from Michael Knowles. I mean, maybe I'll retroactively add the counters after we're done just to see. But I mean, I guess I should. I mean, I just never would have guessed that Michael Knowles would be in competition here with some of these other all-time goofs.
By divorced parents with children.
I mean, his verbal diarrhea skills aren't good enough. I mean, he's no Sartain or Destiny. Even though he does talk fast, he's usually just explaining a single fallacy while he's talking fast.
And one Chicago study from last year showed the happiness gap between married and unmarried to be 30 points. So you're talking about, again, how do you measure happiness? I think a lot of it's bunk, but in as much as you can.
And the men that get married tend to be tall. I mean, women select for tall, handsome, successful men.
That's how I describe myself.
And also, again, appeal to humor fallacy, but also this doesn't take into account if that same man wasn't married, would he still be just as happy? I mean, these are impossible metrics. I'm not suggesting you can actually get these metrics, but are they happy because of marriage or in spite of it? Like, if you have a really happy-go-lucky guy, maybe he's successful, whatever, good-looking, he's going to be happy. He has just a good personality, good disposition in life. He's going to be happy no matter what. Maybe his marriage made him less happy than he would have been single, but still happy, and he still put happy on the survey. But goofs like Knowles will never even consider that possibility on this subject.
But you see, so you're attributing it to marriage. And I'm saying the men that women pick are happy anyways.
Wow. Pearl, I'm really impressed with Pearl. This is the best showing I've ever seen from her. I mean, she's just slaughtering Knowles. She's making Knowles look like a mentally disabled mental midget. I mean, this isn't even close. This is complete and utter decimation point by point. I mean, she literally just said what I said. Not that I'm not saying I'm that much smarter than Pearl. I mean, maybe I am, but she kind of made the same point I made. When Pearl is making Bruce McGuire logical points, I am impressed.
You're saying happier people are more inclined to get married.
No.
Wow, talk about straw man. Holy crap. That's clearly not what she said. She says, of the men that voted in the survey. Wow. I mean, wow. Man, Michael Knowles has to be on the top list of just bad faith liars now. I mean, for all the good he did in exposing, woke regressive goofs, I mean, he's kind of undoing it here. I mean, how can he ever recover from this interview?
Well, partially, but no, I'm saying that women pick tall, handsome, successful men, and I would imagine that they would be happier.
Because the men are hot and rich.
No, not hot. Why are you doing that?
That's what you just said.
Tall, handsome, successful,
I said hot.
happy.
You said tall.
We could add in happy. I mean, do women tend to, women tend to want tall, happy, successful men. So I wouldn't necessarily just attribute it to marriage, even though in some cases that helps.
I mean, look at Knowles. It's like he's having trouble with basic false dichotomy logical fallacies and reductive logical fallacies. Like, he's reducing this to marriage being the only variable. How can marriage be the only variable in happiness? I mean, it's just insane. And this goof can't grasp a false dichotomy or reductive logical fallacy or false cause fallacy. I mean, Pearl, this random girl in her 20s, she can grasp these basic points and this supposed intellectual... his blind spots look worse than Ben Shapiro's blind spots. This is just mad goofery now. It's kind of crazy, because I mentioned this in part 2. Michael Knowles basically dropped the floor out on his own goofery, and he's continuing to do it. That's kind of impressive. He might soon get up there with Craig. I think I will have to retroactively add the logical analysis system. Justin Johnson says, it looks like he took a bite out of a turd. That's all. That's the equivalent of any argument he's been able to provide.
I'm having a little trouble following. You're saying
he's having trouble following a basic false dichotomy. Again, have we ever seen Michael Knowles stuttering and sputtering and taking pauses this long in any other debate or interview? I mean, this is crazy. I mean, if Pearl's not already famous, I mean, she needs to be really famous. I mean, she basically single-handedly decimated the Michael Knowles, a supposed debate powerhouse on the level of the Ben Shapiros out there. I mean, she reduced this goof to nothing. I mean, he's just sputtering and stuttering like a fool.
Because
you guys always attribute if a man's happy, it's because of his marriage.
This is almost kind of like anti-flat Earth grifters pretending gravity explains everything. Like they default to gravity, not understanding the false dichotomy fallacy, not understanding the false cause, not understanding the reductive logic. I mean, this is the equivalent here. This is like a globe earther. This is like Craig arguing for gravity as Michael Knowles arguing for marriage.
I'm just saying
Except, I mean, Michael Knowles is a step ahead of the game because obviously there are happily married people. That doesn't mean that there's evidence for gravity, though. So, I mean, Michael Knowles, I mean, he is a step ahead of the Craigs, but still.
I'm just saying married people are
Okay,
in as
sorry,
much
go
as one
ahead.
could, in as much as one.
Pearl Shifty Eyes Shady said, I have heard criticism that she keeps going for more shock value. Well, that's the thing. She knows all these goofs are going to get triggered. Like the traditional conservatives are going to get triggered. All the woke, liberal, regressive goofs calling themselves progressives are going to get triggered. She knows all these goofs are going to get triggered, so she just holds out the circus hoops and watches the goofs jump through them and sits back and laugh. I can't blame her for that. I mean, it is kind of hilarious. I mean, you know, it's almost kind of like flat Earth debates. I mean, what triggers goofs more than pretending that, or, you know, somebody exposing that they pretend that gravity is real or NASA is legitimate without evidence? I mean, they get triggered like nobody's business. Obviously, they can, you know, on Twitter or social media, they can continue scrolling on by, but how many of them do that? They immediately get triggered and fallaciously argue. Hello, Sarah. Good to hear you're feeling better. That's awesome. Starting to get a couple more people in here, although this does not seem to be the most popular logical analysis. Yeah, she's a master triggerer of goofs. If there was a triggerer of goofs award, Pearl might be one of the top females out there triggering goofs.
Can measure happiness. Married people seem to be significantly happier than unmarried people.
Okay.
But again,
men will sign right up.
But I don't. I think people do things that are extremely perverse today because of largely because of individualism and liberalism. But even that word happiness is important because, you know, we say we can't measure happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know that we can define happiness now.
Okay.
What?
Wow. Whoa. Was it possible to move the goalpost further than that? I mean, think about the strength Michael Knowles has to have possessed to move a goalpost that far. I mean, he moved it so far we can't even see it. All of a sudden, we can't define happiness. What? I mean, can you say that men who lose most of their stuff and can never see their children, they're not happy, right? I mean, this isn't that difficult of a concept.
What do we even mean by happiness?
Mm-hmm.
I have a definition that I go by, but
Okay.
what do you mean by it?
I guess I couldn't say definition off the top of my head. I see what you mean.
Look at the honesty from Pearl, though. I mean, she's really impressing me here. I mean, she was so honest there. She didn't pull for a fallacy. She honestly said, "I don't know if I could give you a definition there." Like she's good faith here, grifter or not. She's actually at least appearing to be good faith. She's willing to hear him out, and she's actually letting him get off the hook with all this goofery and flat-out bad faith lies. I mean, we gotta give massive credit to Pearl here.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
so many people mean so many different things by it. I always go by good old Uncle Aristotle's definition of happiness as eudaimonia, which is rational activity conducted in accordance with virtue.
So is it rational to enter a contract where the other party is rewarded for breaking it? Is it rational to grovel at the boots? Is it rational to grovel at the boots of corrupt authorities and beg for marriage licenses, all to be regulated by oppressors? Is that rational? Is that listening to the Bible in any way when it says the complete opposite. When it says the complete opposite, Ephesians 6:12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities. We could also go to 1 Corinthians 2:5. Your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So the wisdom of men who are making these courts and these laws and all these, the corruption of all of it. So that's the complete opposite of what Knowles is saying. So I think we can firmly call him a bad faith charlatan goof. I mean, he's just a flat out liar. He's doing Satan's work here.
And so the reason I mention this is not just because I love, the old dead thinkers, but because I think they had something right that will help to guide us through this very confused modern time.
Which is the opposite of everything Knowles is promoting here.
The way that you are describing marriage seems to be from an unmoored perspective.
An unwhat?
Unmoored, meaning not grounded in something. Meaning it's a little subjective. It's a little...
Look how again, Pearl being honest. Pearl doesn't know what unmoored means. So I guess she's not a sailor, but... Anyway, isn't it kind of crazy that some chick in her 20s who doesn't know what unmoored means and is willing to admit that she doesn't know what it means is absolutely obliterating a supposed intellectual, a high-level writer and commentator? I mean, this is just absolutely insane. I mean, the way she's exposing this charlatan goof, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Michael Knowles just got decimated by someone who doesn't know what unmoored means.
Wishy-washy. Men can do whatever they like. You pick. Some people have a different purpose.
That's not what I said.
I thought you said men can do whatever they like.
Wait, what? Okay, I'm a little bit confused now. I don't know if Michael Knowles is lying right here. He actually said that genuinely as if he thought she said. So is he not even... Okay, I have an idea here. Perhaps this is my new theory. He's not even listening to what she's saying. That's my new theory. So he's just weaving these diversion fallacies and he's going to do that regardless of what she says. Because he's strawmanned her a number of times here. And all he keeps doing is spamming these diversion fallacies, utilizing red herring and non sequiturs. I mean, that's all he's been doing. So it appears that he had this goal all along. So he doesn't even have the courtesy to pay attention. Denise says it's insane that he doesn't realize that he's being decimated. It is, isn't it? I mean, I kind of said that in part one. How did if you were Michael Knowles here, I mean, obviously nobody here is dumb enough to be making these arguments, but, I don't think anybody in the chat is this level of a bad faith liar, Satan deceiver. Because, I mean, this is insane what he's promoting and laughing about his own close friends that had to go through family court. He was literally laughing about it and blaming them. Not just them, but all the men he doesn't know. And so, yeah, how did he post this? Like, why would he ever post this publicly? Like, okay, maybe he wasn't prepared, whatever. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what she would say. I mean, can anybody figure out why he would actually post this on the internet unless this is an Illuminati humiliation ritual? And Michael Knowles wants to break into that next level of fame. And he was willing to humiliate himself this much. I mean, that's my only theory at this point. Does anybody have another theory on why Knowles posted this publicly? Or are we to believe that he really thinks he's doing well here? I mean, that would be one heck of a blind spot. Because even Ben Shapiro. So here's the thing with Shapiro. I think Shapiro knows his blind spots to an extent. I mean, he has certain tells. I'll do more analysis on his. Like, he intentionally dodges because he knows he looks bad regarding certain blind spots that he has. Like, he has a certain amount of awareness of that. Knowles appears not to. That's the difference here. That's the difference. Justin Johnson and Heracles spreading the love in the MindShock chat here, gifting all the memberships. And everybody in the chat, I mean, feel free to chime in. I mean, there's no way anybody can say something dumber than what Knowles has said here. So, again, there's no judgment here for people in the chat. Unless you're a troll. Then you'll be called out. But, yeah, we actually don't really get trolls here. I mean, we call them out, so I don't know if that keeps them away. But even in the bigger podcasts, when we have a lot of people in here, there's usually very few trolls. Denise says, I think he thinks he's doing well. I mean, it is baffling, isn't it? It's quite baffling. That's crazy. Shifty Eyes Shady says, here's one theory. Ben Shapiro paid for production staff and the video. It wasn't Michael Knowles' choice to post it. It was going on Daily Wire whether Knowles wanted it or not. Okay, that would explain that. That would explain that. Shifty Eyes Shady with a solution here. So, does the Daily Wire control Michael Knowles' account? I don't know how that works. Like, Brett Cooper is another pretty popular commentator on the Daily Wire, but I think, didn't she have her own channel and her own social medias before she worked for the Daily Wire? I thought Michael Knowles was kind of the same. Let's double check Michael Knowles' history here. Michael J. Knowles, political commentator. He's only 34? I thought he was older. That's kind of a compliment to his intelligence level other than this interview. I mean, he went full vegetable here. But oh wow, he was actually an actor. He went to the Stellar Adler Studio of Acting as part of its advanced teen conservatory. And then he graduated with a BA in history and Italian from Yale. And he produced the English rendering of Niccolo Machiavelli's play Andrea in 2012. Okay, hold on a second. So he's literally a bad actor? So Michael Knowles is literally a bad act. By bad, I don't mean unskilled. I mean he's acting in bad faith here. So Michael Knowles was apparently an advanced teen actor. So does this cement the possibility that he's just a flat-out shill? No way. Shifty Eyes Shady just said Michael Knowles' fact he was hired to be entertainment at a George Soros wedding. Whoa. Whoa. And was he in Skull and Bones in Yale? I wonder if that's public. Like, are all Skull and Bones members public? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to find it now. He was actually in 2 web series. Never Do Business with Friends and... So that was one of them. Never do business with friends. Good advice, because he's laughing at his friends that went through divorces and family court. And Survive. No information about that. So not only was he an in the advanced teen conservatory of Stella Adler Studio of Acting, he also trained with Wynn Handman, very famous writer and in theater in New York City. What? Holy crap. The Daily Dot reported that Michael Knowles starred in the student film House of Shades in 2012 as a queer man that seduces another man at a nightclub. Does that sound Catholic? Wait, if this guy's a Catholic, like, why would he even do that? I mean, supposedly he's financially well off. The House of Shades. It's a 15-minute short film. Apparently, this film... Okay, hold on a second. Is available on YouTube. Let me see, it's here. Oh, wow. It is literally on YouTube. Do you guys want to... Okay, I can't even play this. Wow. Wow. One of the comments under it, this is the last time Michael Knowles was honest. He's in bed with another man, just as soon as you bring up the clip. So this is a supposed Catholic here. Wow. Okay, Shifty Eyes Shady said that he found his Catholic faith later after all of that. He was an atheist for a long time. Wow. Dave Scott says we're going to get the stream shut down soon. Heracles said he's a Jesuit. Okay, so I'm trying to find out whether or not he was in Skull and Bones. Okay, he also dressed in drag on 2 occasions in 2016. 2016 is not that long ago. I mean, that's a couple years ago. I mean, 2012, I mean, okay, that was over a decade ago. He's only 34. 2016 is relatively recent. So he was dressed in drag. When did he become Catholic? Hold on a second. So he's dressing in drag on at least 2 occasions in 2016, according to the same people who reported that he was in the student film, which is on YouTube that you can find, so that is verified. He moved to LA, acted in the television pilot I'm Back. He also starred as Alejandro in the comedy feature film Holly Weird. Okay, this is getting kind of weird. So Michael Knowles starred in a movie called Holly Weird. Huh. All I can say is, huh. Okay, so he wrote his book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide, in 2017. So just 1 year after supposedly dressing in drag on 2 occasions, which is also obviously an Illuminati humiliation ritual. And then he started his podcast in 2020. Let's see. He's actually got 23 acting credits. He's got quite a few. I mean, these acting credits are going all through 2023. From 2011 to 20... So he never really stopped acting. One of these is titled FU from LA. You know, not F, like the actual expletive written completely out. In 2015, he starred in this short film about a young woman is led astray by a slimy talent agent and a sex worker at Jumbo's Clown Room. These are the kind of films that Michael Knowles is starring in. Let's see what year he found his Catholic faith here. No, it says he was raised in the Catholic faith. So he was raised as a child through his Catholic faith. And he reconverted to the church at Yale. So after he graduated, so after his reconversion to Catholicism, so apparently he was raised Catholic, then as a young teen, he didn't really follow it, and then it says here, he experienced a reconversion to the church while at Yale. So, let's see when he graduated from Yale. He graduated Yale University, PA. So in 2016, he was invited to join the Daily Wire. So is this before, after, or during his drag appearances? He worked with Andrew Klavan's son on theater productions while they were undergraduates at Yale. So both him and Klavan's son were at Yale. Does this make any sense to anybody? This is crazy. This is all wild. I mean, this guy is truly a devil's tongue, deceiver. Let me find, let's see, when... So he was married in 2018. He graduated with honors. Why is it so difficult to find the year that he graduated? Moved to Los Angeles, graduated from Yale, then he moved to LA. So he's doing some of these very seedy, degenerate shows after he graduated from Yale. After his reconversion to Catholicism. I'm trying to find his exact graduation dates for some reason. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple sources from his own interviews where he said he found Catholicism again at Yale. And then after Yale, he still went on to do these movies. Why is there no date here? I've been searching for 5 minutes. I cannot find the date that Michael... Does anybody know the year Michael Knowles graduated with honors? Holy crap. Shifty Eyes Shady says that Clavin's son is openly gay, married to a guy. All the Daily Wire people attended the gay wedding in church. So they're all charlatans, basically. You know, not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but don't be a hypocrite. Like, you know, a charlatan hypocrite. These guys are weird. Shifty Eyes Shady asks, don't all actors have to do the drag humiliation ritual? A lot of them do, but apparently there are some people with integrity that don't. I don't think Clint Eastwood ever did drag. Did Clint Eastwood ever do drag? I mean, there's some legit, some of those older tough guys. I don't think Jean-Claude Van Damme ever did drag. Steven Seagal. If somebody finds Steven Seagal in drag, we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem. Shimka Smile says, also the Bible teaches, here's what I have discovered. A bad woman is worse than death. She is a trap reaching out with body and soul to catch you. You got a verse for that? Let me double check. Is that... Oh, wow. That is Ecclesiastes 7:26. Yet another one. So Michael Knowles, an open deceiver here. I did not... wow. Norm Macdonald never wore the dress. There's a lot of guys who have it, like legit actors. But yes, a lot of the popular pop culture guys have. Yeah, that's a good verse, Shimka Smile. I hope you comment more. I don't remember you commenting much before, but yes. I'm liking what you're putting forward here. I'm still trying to find the exact year he graduated, because he did all of these movies in LA afterwards, like playing these sleazy guys at clown places. Why is it so hard to find the year he graduated? What is this? I've been looking for this for almost 10 minutes now. I cannot find it. Just says he graduated with honors from Yale. What year? Let's see. Why is it so difficult? Okay. Let's see. Okay, let me go to Michael Knowles' Facebook. Maybe he has it here. About... No, he doesn't. No, he does not. Details about Michael Knowles. It just says he's a graduate of Yale. No year. Oh, man. Alright, here's a Medium article here. Background. He was born in Bedford Hills, New York, trained as an actor, later graduated from Yale. No year either. This is getting ridiculous. So, he was educated in acting by Wynn Handman in New York City after graduating from Yale. Then he traveled to LA. He made his TV debut in 2014 with the series Tales of Light and Dark. Wow. He also has a minor role in one of the show's episodes, Geo Killing. Yeah, so he appeared in all these other... He made all these other appearances after he graduated. So this... And he was in drag after he graduated. So it looks like he might have graduated here in around 2012. So let's just do the basic math. If he was born in 1990 and he graduated at 22 years of age, that would be approximately 2012, and he's making his debut in 2014. So he did the gay role in the short film at Yale while he was still at Yale. So that was 2010 or 2012. So if he found Catholicism, he may have done that after he reconverted to Catholicism. He may or may not have. So it was within a year or two of his reconversion to Catholicism. I cannot find if Michael Knowles was in Skull and Bones, though, at Yale. Okay, apparently he made a joke. I don't know if this is a joke. Okay, so somebody on Twitter asked him just a few weeks ago, Michael, are you Skull and Bones like your buddy Glenn Beck? You both went to Yale. Michael Knowles responded, no, I'm a member of Bull and Scones. Instead of controlling the world, we eat steak and British pastries. You know what? Let me see if I can find Skull and Bones photos from, let's say, 2012. Nope. It seems like they keep things under wraps. The only Skull and Bones photos you can find are the really old ones. And those personally shared from the 70s. I don't see... Uh-oh. Okay, The Atlantic just published 2012. Okay, there's a 2010 photo of Skull and Bones. I'm gonna put it on the screen in a second, if YouTube lets me. This is wild stuff, man. I never thought we'd be going this deep into Skull and Bones and Michael Knowles. We're never going to get done with this debate, but Ericly says Chuck Norris never wore a dress. Wow, seriously? Shifty Eyes Shady says the Clintons live near Bedford Hills, New York. I didn't know that. I wonder if this is the same article. I'm gonna put on the screen an image here. Oh, Sphinx Bear, you missed a lot here. So this is a recent Skull and Bones photo. Is that Michael Knowles on the left in the 2010 photo? I don't know. It looks like kind of like it could be him. I don't know. The guy all the way on the left licking the other guy's ear. Is that Michael Knowles? There's also a couple guys in the back you can't really see. Apparently, it says here that they've started accepting women in Skull and Bones. Huh. This is a 2010 photograph. So Knowles might have graduated in 2012, approximately. Anybody find this weird? Is that Michael Knowles all the way on the left licking a guy's ear? What does everybody think? It's kind of hard to tell. It could be him. Let me make it a little bigger. Is that Michael Knowles trying to lick that guy's ear? This is supposedly a Skull and Bones photo from 2010. Justin Johnson says, can't trust anything you find. That is true. All right, so let's try to finish this train wreck of a debate here. So we don't know. Maybe Michael Knowles really was part of Skull and Bones. Dave Scott says, this is getting more mind-shocking than Paul Walker. Michael Knowles, supposedly, he would have been 20 in that photo. Because I think if he graduated at 22 in 2012, he would have been 20. He's not that old. He's 34.
I'm not going to I think you took issue with me for saying that I was coming to a moral judgment about how many.
No, I think that every man has to decide for himself. But I wouldn't recommend, say, like...
How should he decide?
Following, in an ideal world, following God and his purpose.
Right. So following God and his, and how do we come to know our purpose?
I mean,
yeah, Sphinx Bear, I thought he was older too. I thought he was about 40, and he just looked younger just due to his intelligence in other debates. RM, this is live, my friend. This is live. It should say live or premiere. Premieres aren't live, lives are live. And if you go into the YouTube channel live section, all the lives are there.
I think following God typically meant...
How do we follow God?
You know, going to church every Sunday, you know, praying, you know.
I kind of feel bad for Pearl. Like, she entered the lion's den with this lying snake here that is Michael Knowles.
I think there's ways that you can't, studying the Bible, but, you know,
And
I'm not like a preacher, you know.
You're not. The thing you keep leaving out, I agree, all those things are very good to do.
Yeah.
The thing you keep leaving out is reason. And it's the thing you keep taking issue with.
Reason? She's promoting reason. She's promoting not entering a contract where the other party benefits from breaking it. She's promoting the use of reason in not bootlicking the state and groveling for marriage certificates and having to deal with family court. That's the utilization of reason, not marrying people who are not marriageable. Thanks, RM.
With me, where I keep saying marriage is a rational act.
Wow. Wow. He thinks marriage is a rational act? I mean, if you find one of those 1 in a million diamond women, maybe, but why would you want the state involved anyway? Like, non-state marriage, sure. But it's like he's intentionally not listening to anything Pearl is saying.
It was. I don't know if it is now.
But even though the laws are bad and the politicians are dummies, even still, it's a rational act.
Sphinx Bear with an excellent question. Unrelated, but where can I watch the movies for the Q&A? The Blockbuster by my house closed almost 20 years ago. So I'm guessing you didn't live next to the Blockbuster that only closed a couple years ago, like the last remaining one. There are things called streaming platforms. A lot of them are free. There's Tubi. There's a whole bunch. Just look up free movie apps. A lot of movies are on there. And then if you have Amazon Prime, a lot of them are on there. The next movie for our live Q&A is The Game with Michael Douglas.
Over and above the qualities of the state, because of human nature, because men and women are different, because we are a rational creature, so we can, perceive of things like abstract justice. Animals can't do that. My whiskey glass can't do that.
Whoa. Not only can his whiskey glass not get married or use reason, but he had to lift the whiskey glass in order to demonstrate it. I mean, wow. Wow. Justin Johnson on a roll here in the chat. Wow. He literally had to lift his glass to demonstrate that the glass doesn't have the reason of a human. I mean, whoa. I might need a break soon. I'm sorry, people. Like, this level of gophery and deceit, I mean, this is crazy. Dave Scott says she might know he's a Yale Skull and Bones Satanist and is trying to trigger him by talking about the Bible. He's the one who brings up the Bible, though. That's why he's a charlatan, because he's always talking about the Bible and how Catholicism is great, while in this particular debate discussion, preaching everything in violation of the Bible. Axiom watched the game last night. Me too. I actually remember nothing about it. So we'll do the live Q&A probably tomorrow night on that. And then sometime over the weekend, we're doing the next Logic Olympics round as well.
So we can do that. Men and women are different. We're not, like the feminists say, they say we're identical. We're not identical.
I agree.
We're not, and like the feminists and some it would seem of the red pill guys would imply, we're not totally opposed to one another in our interests. Who would suggest this?
Yeah, no, you guys always say red pill guys. I never know.
I don't like to give them airtime because I find them to be huge jerks and they have smaller audiences and I don't want to popularize them. But I think we know some of the people.
Wait, who's he talking about? The red pill guys have small audiences? Doesn't Andrew Tate have way more followers than Michael Knowles? Andrew Tate has like millions and millions. And wasn't he the most searched man on the internet? This is weird. So Michael Knowles think the red pill guys have small audiences. That's weird. Yeah, Dave Scott, you better jump on for that one because I have some very interesting thoughts on the game. Shimka said, first time chatting. Thank you for the response. Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting to think, like, I know a lot of people, especially during the Logic Olympics, they're kind of afraid to jump in for judgment, but I don't judge people that are good faith. I mean, if they're making publicly available videos on the internet, I'll analyze them, but everybody in the chat is here to learn, so, nothing but love for the chat. Oh, Breek says, Bruce, do you see a difference between red pill and feminism other than the gender? Yes. Well, also, let's not fall for hasty generalization fallacies, because even feminism has some subcategories, but not much. Red pill has a lot of subcategories, because they're a huge. I mean, that's more black. A lot of people include black pill within the red pill. Like, I would liken feminism closer to the black pill guys, not the red. Maybe we need to do a whole podcast on all the different pills. Because the black pill guys that sometimes get labeled red pill, they're the doom and gloom, misogynist guys that hate women. The real red pill actually love women and, praise them while exposing the bad women. But they really praise the good women and just identify that, as the Bible says, good women are hard to find. So, a lot of the black pill gets mixed in with the red pill. RM says, I think Andrew Tate is propped up to push materialism. That's an interesting theory. I went over that a little bit on the analysis of Andrew Tate versus that BBC reporter that got wrecked. He wrecked this supposedly nice lady BBC reporter who thought he was a human trafficker with no evidence. But, yeah, so that's strange about Andrew Tate. The only thing I can think of is Andrew Tate pushes the materialism on younger boys to get them interested. And so once they see this guy driving around Bugattis, now they're going to listen to what he's going to say, and he could ram, you know, pure logic down their throat regarding the corruption of governments and regarding all these red pill truths. That's the only thing I can think of in defense of that, if it's not genuine. The thing is, I think he chose that to fight back against the zoned out zombies playing video games. You know, how about you get some Bugattis and live this luxury lifestyle instead of sitting around in your mom's basement playing video games? That's not necessarily a bad way to get some of these young boys or even young men's attention who are just wasting their lives. It's not necessary. I mean, obviously, materialism, you know, Satanism, materialism, you know, 666 being materialism, Saturn being materialism, the Matrix being materialism. In the only defense I can think of, if that's his way to get people's attention. Because if he was this monk with no possessions, he would have a much smaller audience. So again, I'm not really defending him per se. Maybe he really is a human trafficking criminal, I don't know. But if he is, obviously evidence needs to be presented of that, not just, you know, rumor mill nonsense. Yeah, I don't know what the whole Islam thing is with Andrew Tate. There's definitely a lot of questions. His dad was CIA, I believe, right? So there's a lot of questions regarding Andrew Tate, but I wouldn't automatically dismiss him because of the materialism. He might just be using that kind of like as a gateway to get the attention of all the, you know, young zombies playing video games. He's like, why don't you play it in real life? Why don't you accomplish something and get a real Bugatti? So that slaps them with attention, and then once they already like him, then he starts talking, you know, discipline, the true realities of government, you know, statism and the government and all that stuff. So again, if that's what it is, again, I don't know that that's what he's doing, but it might be.
Okay.
And if you think it's an unfair characterization,
Yeah.
please tell me. I think that
Well, I
the way
don't speak for every red pill guy.
but you're
so.
describing the interests of men and women as being quite
Mhm.
opposed. You've been talking about it this whole time. The mothers when they're
The
staying
way
at
the
home with
laws are,
boys and-
the way the laws are today.
not just the laws, the behaviors. You're saying the mother at home is
You know what? The multiple wives argument, Breek posted, Islam justifies his arguments for having multiple women could be the reason. You know, that's an interesting argument, because if good women want to have children, and a lot of the guys are just these clueless, useless zombies, if the women all consent to sharing one guy who's a more quality guy than the schmucks around them, it's kind of hard to blame the women or the guy in that situation. You know, if everything's consensual, it's kind of hard to blame either the women or the guy in a multiple wife situation. And obviously, there's plenty of examples of that in the Bible as well. But I don't know. That's a tough one because, you know, obviously the feminist goofs, you know, take offense to that, which is the feminists are more misogynist than anyone. I mean, they're basically arguing that women don't have free agency and are too dumb to make their own decisions. I mean, feminists are some of the most evil misogynists out there. They hate women. Like, it's kind of crazy how people don't realize that. It's like they don't want free agency for women.
poisoning the children against their father.
It's
who's at
very
work.
common.
Right. So anyway, that's the view I'm
It's very
discussing.
common.
But
yeah.
but again, I don't think that is ultimately the relation between men and women is hostile interests. I think, call me crazy and
Mhm.
old-fashioned, I think that men and women are complementary. We're physically complementary
I
with one
agree.
another, and we
I
are
agree.
spiritually complementary with
I
one another.
agree.
And so when I say that marriage is a rational activity,
Mhm.
I mean that the fact that
So he's basically going, he's spamming red herring, non sequitur, etymological, no true Scotsman fallacies, because he's using marriage as an umbrella term for men and women living together and reproducing as they did throughout history. He's specifically and deceptively ignoring the government's role here in marriage licenses, family court, etc. He's spinning his wheels, specifically deceiving in regards to that. I mean, he's made that perfectly clear here.
man is social, the fact that men and women are complementary, the fact that men and women are coupling creatures, and that it is in our interest at a very basic level to procreate and therefore and consequently to educate the children, makes marriage a natural institution that does not actually change no matter what the politicians say.
What? How does it not change based on the laws you're living under, family court, etc.? Like, obviously, marriage rates are plummeting because of it. So how does it not change? Again, the act of reproducing doesn't change, but that's not what's being discussed here.
I think that that's easy to say in your position.
I think it's very difficult.
And
I don't think people can say it that way.
I would agree that marriage is a natural thing.
Mhm.
I would agree that men and women are better together. But I think when you're paying people to do the wrong thing, which if a man has children in this country, the woman is being paid to leave, you're going to have a higher percentage of women that do it,
Yes.
religious or not. And
No, they're much less likely.
But religious or not, the woman will not care in divorce court.
She will. The religious woman is more likely to.
If we're going to go off of
Now he's hallucinating likelihoods. I mean, can you believe this? He's hallucinating likelihoods while under the cherry-picking logical fallacy and no true Scotsman fallacy. They're only religious according to his definition of religious.
the numbers, it's roughly 25% to a third of Catholics. That's an insignificant
Right.
number.
But it's like 5%.
That's
And it's like 10%.
I don't those
It's like 30%
those
of
numbers
Muslims.
include people over a certain age. Under a certain age, that's
keep
a
moving
different.
the
That's a
goalposts,
different. No,
though.
that's
Well, now he's moved on to psychological. She's not the one moving the. He literally just moved the goalpost like an entire continent away. He moved the goalpost so far we can't see the goalpost, and he's accusing her of moving the. I mean, wow. I mean, he's literally pulling out every tactic from the woke goofs that he decimated in the college debates and Q&As. He's literally using their same tactic that he criticized.
it's not moving the goalpost. It's something that you should consider. Okay,
But I'm considering. But you mentioned the statistics, but then you say I can't trust the statistics when they contradict your argument.
No, that was what he said. She was using the stats. He was the one that says the statistics are all fake or whatever. I mean, just the lack of integrity here, like the pure dishonesty. I mean, wow, this is rough. I'm only going to be able to make a couple more minutes here. I'm not going to be able to last. I mean, I need a break from Michael Knowles. I mean, I thought we'd be able to finish this, but once again, I underestimated Knowles' lack of character and pure deceit.
No, that's not what I said. I said that over the age of 40, roughly 35, it's a different time. And the women of today are not the women of yesterday. It's a different, we would agree that it's a lower, I mean, just going on whatever. I mean, I don't know about you. I had never met a sex worker in my life.
Yeah.
I never had. But I grew up in a Catholic community. That wasn't normal.
Because that technology didn't exist.
Wow, look at him spiraling. It doesn't matter why. Like, it's not relevant that whether the technology did or didn't exist. Do you need technology to be a prostitute walking the streets? What does that have to do with technology? Like, the level of goofery from Michael Knowles here is crazy. Dave Scott also has to get out of here. Yeah, I'm only going to go like another minute or two because this is tough. Like, he's basically saying that technology didn't exist to be a sex worker. Like, he's never heard of literally the oldest profession. I mean, that's another super dinger. I mean, he's pulling Craigs all over the place here.
Now I'm seeing, ex porn stars as preachers. You haven't seen that? Oh,
No.
Oh yeah.
At least they're ex-porn stars. Better than current porn stars.
Okay, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. I mean, just the level of contrarianism. I mean, this is the most anti-Bible supposed Catholic I've ever heard in any single debate or conversation. I mean, this is just way too painful. I mean, wow. All I can say is wow. I didn't expect this level of just flat-out bad faith goofery. Man. Yeah, I think we're going to have to take a break for a couple nights from this one because it's just too tough. I mean, Michael Knowles has just really sunk to the bottom of the barrel here. I don't think he can ever recover from this one. I don't think he can. But, yeah. Hope everybody found another edition of the MINDSHOCK podcast interesting and informative. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.